Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Game Dojo. I am your host, the Game Ninja, and this is 24K movies, reviews, TV shows, and video games. It is October, and we are on the eve of getting to Halloween, ladies and gentlemen, and it has been a horrific run of all those beautiful horror classics, and we're talking about those movies you want to mash up and have marathons on and eat tons of popcorn and candy corn and Mary Janes and Snickers and Reese's Pieces and just everything, Kit Kats. These are the movies that you want to sit back, relax with your favorite bag of snacks and watch. And that's why we're doing them. We're letting you know what to watch, when to watch it, how to feel. Well, now I'm not telling you how to feel because, we ain't the other movie channels, they got all the, branding and money and paid commentary and paid opinions. And you want us to love your movie, we're going to give you money, you better love our movie. No, we don't do that. So if you could not tell, we are talking about the Alien franchise. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. And my brother, Phil, just hooked me up with the Alien Anthology Blu-ray disc collection. Can you see that one right there? Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. And we are a fan of the genre. Let me see if I can get this piece out here. There we go. Release Hercules. Oh, wow, this is like a book. Wow, you see this, John? This John is like a legit, can you see that? It's like a legit book. This is like a legit book with actual, movies in it. Oh, wow. It's got the movie, it's got the little book on the pages. Actually, the only other one I've ever seen anything hot like this was the Nightmare Creatures Book of Shadows Charmed Edition. Yeah, that was pretty hot. It was like a whole book of shadows. This joint is actually pretty hot. Look at that. It's got little scenes in the book. It's got the Blu-rays chilling up in here. This is an awesome little collection, man. This is awesome. Can you see that? Can you see Sigourney Weaver? Yeah. This is awesome. I love this. This is pretty damn awesome, man. Thank you, Phil. Look at this. Archives and everything up in this joint. This is hot. This is hot right here. Mother Mode Viewer's Guide Alien Anthology. This is actually right hot. So it's like an actual book that goes up in this joint. So, ladies and gentlemen, set this right here. Put it right up in here. Release Hercules. Release Hercules. Hercules. Release. There we go. Stay right there. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's talk about it. Let's dive right in. So, let's start with the original, Alien. When this first came out, nobody realized what they had. It was lightning in a bottle. It took a lot to get this movie made. Sigourney Weaver being cast as the main lead heroine. This is one of the films that I told you before. You don't have to dumb down your male leads to elevate the female lead. This movie, Sigourney Weaver stole the show. She wasn't 700 pounds of rock-hard muscle. She didn't have to be the sex kitten walking around with booty shorts on. Nothing had to be derogatory. She was your average woman put in this phenomenal situation, and she rose to the occasion. Now, Alien, if I could rank these four, I would say Alien Resurrection is my least favorite. So that would be number 4 to me. Number 3 would be Alien. Even though it's the first one and everybody loves it, I love it too, don't get me wrong. But I just found it a bit slower pace, a slow burn. But when it gets there, it goes there. Aliens 3 would be my second choice because I just love the claustrophobic feeling of being trapped on this penal prison planet. This kind of feels like it's in a Riddick storyline, but I did like that. I like the very claustrophobic film in this. A lot of people didn't like Aliens 3. I actually did. To me, it's number 2. Number 1 is Aliens, the sequel. There are very few iconic movies where the sequel outdoes the original. It's literally lightning striking in a bottle twice. Terminator 2 did the same thing. It outdid Terminator 1. we'll start with Alien. So the story starts with Ripley and her crew getting a distress message from this planet. Somebody left a distress message. They had a problem. They land down on its homing beacon. They go and explore, and they find no traces of any crew, but they do find curious artifacts. So what do you do when you come across alien goo, alien egg sacs, and all this stuff that you should not touch or go near? They go near it, they touch it, they get infected. And this is the first time we get our look at what we call the facehugger. The facehugger is attached to one of their crew members, and of course, Ripley decides not to let them on the ship, which is the correct thing to do. Sigourney Weaver, Ellen Ripley, perfect real reaction. But of course, she's overridden by Tom Skerritt, whose dumbass decides, I think it's Tom Skerritt. It's Tom Skerritt? I'm pretty sure it's Tom Skerritt. Overrides her and, it's stupid, you shouldn't do this, blah, blah, blah. He's one of our own. We can't let him stay out there. And they bring this damn thing on the ship, which it doesn't take very long to realize that this was a mistake from the pit of hell. So what ends up happening is they try cutting it off, and acid leaks on the table, cuts through the floor, cuts through the second deck, and they run down looking at it when it finally stops, and it's like concentrated acid for blood. One of them even says it's got one of the great defense mechanisms in part 2. You don't dare take it off because it'll literally kill the person and anybody around doing it. So it's at this time that we're treated to the first android being a little bit wonky in how he's treating this situation, because it should be a full quarantine situation, but nobody files protocols. To that effect, they're talking around, laughing, and then somebody calls, and he's up and talking and moving around, and they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on because the guy seems perfectly fine. They can't find the facehugger, though. It took them a while to find the facehugger. That's in later scenes. So they're sitting and eating in this kitchen like everything is normal, and of course he starts to throw some type of fit, and rumor has it that nobody in the room knew what was going to happen, which is why the reactions when it burst out of his chest, everybody's reaction were real reactions.
The only person that knew about it, of course, was the actor, and he was sworn not to say anything because they all wanted a real reaction with everybody.
Yeah.
And the answer to your question, Tom Skerritt was the actor that overrode Ripley.
So, see, I see some brain meats. See, brain meat still works. I'm working on Audacity software, but it still works. So anyway, a chest burster busts out of his chest. Everybody's freaked out. It runs off. Ash, who is the android, tells them not to touch it. And of course, now everybody's freaked out because they don't know what the hell just burst out of his chest. A very sense of unrealness happens because this alien grows from being a tiny little microscopic problem to a holy shit, we need to get off this spaceship problem. And this is the first time we're actually treated to a xenomorph, known by name. Xenomorph would be a name that would be coined that would go so far in movies and movie legend and lore and genre, even crossing over into the Predator franchise. So there's no easy way to say it. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the original Alien from the 70s, but he kills pretty much every member of her team. And she finds the only thing to do is to get an escape pod and jettison it and hope she can be picked up. But of course the alien had the same idea because he jumps into the pod before she gets there. So when she jettisons herself, she just jettisoned and blew up a star freighter for no reason because there was no alien on board. He came along with her. So as she's coming in and out of her suit there, she sees what should appears to be the alien, and she's like, oh shit, he's in here with me, we're gonna have a problem. So this is the only sex appeal in this movie at all. Sigourney Weaver, for some reason, I don't know why they filmed it this way, but they film it at an up angle where she's in her underwear trying to get into the suit. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, it's not supposed to be sexy because Sigourney Weaver at that time had, and forgive me Sigourney, if you ever watch this, I don't think you ever will. I hope you never will. But in the Alien movie, girl, you had no ass. You had Nasatol. You were suffering from Nasatol disease. There was no booty cheeks in there. I've never seen underwear in my entire life baggy on a butt cheek. But you was rocking the boobage. You was rocking the cool vag shots. You was taking just a piece of regular plain underwear and you was rocking it. It had sex appeal. I give that movie its credit. It has sex appeal. I can't tell you how many people wore out pause buttons for that scene of her trying to get into the suit with the legs apart. It was a very erotic scene. She just didn't have the booty meats then. She later on developed booty meats, and she had a body so much better later on. I don't know why she didn't have booty meats in that one. It could have been a horrible angle that the camera pulled in. Sigourney, baby, you're beautiful. You have booty meats. You have an amazing body. But in Aliens, that camera was not a flattering shot of your butt. Everything else was in the zone. Well, it was good. But the butt scene, no. So, she gets in the suit, and she starts smashing buttons to flush it out. It comes out there and she ends up tangling with him and blows him out of the airlock. End of story, end of movie. She leaves her post and we were treated to Alien. And it came out of nowhere and it was absolutely terrifying. In space, no one can hear you scream was the tag slogan for it. And it made amazing money back from its budget. It didn't really start to gain notoriety until a little bit later on, but it was phenomenal as a space horror, sci-fi horror movie franchise. But then came my favorite. Ladies and gentlemen, Aliens. Oh my God. It feels like a Terminator movie because it has some Terminator actors in it. Both Bill Paxton and, what is his name? Oh, God, what is his name? Kyle Reese. What is his name? Bain. Michael Bain. Dude, I'm so sorry. Sorry, Michael. Michael Bain and Bill Paxton. I just literally saw a clip of these two guys talking about Aliens and how buzzed they were when they got a chance to see a special presentation of it, which they weren't supposed to see. And Bill Paxton, God rest his soul, was just like, this is kick-ass, man. This is legend right here. Like, Michael Bain said he acted so much like his character in real life. It was so funny to see him react to himself on the screen. Like, he knew it was gold. They knew they had gold, and ladies and gentlemen, they were right. The tech, the feelings, the emotions, Sigourney Weaver reprising her role. Bravo. She proved that not only could she carry a movie on her own, but she came back with a vengeance. This time, she is a hard, burn, stone chick. Yes, she's still vulnerable. Yes, she still has that Ellen Ripley vulnerability to her, but this time she's already dealt with them once, and she knows and she takes charge, and there's just such a strong power role about it. And there's an ensemble cast of Space Marines. Bill Paxton, like I said, Michael Bain.
That little girl that was her only movie that she's ever done, and she carried that movie on her shoulders.
The little girl who played Newt. No one calls me Rebecca except for my brother, but Newt. The entire Paul Reiser. I'm forgetting so many names, but there is an ensemble, brightly cast of characters. And here's the law: when it comes to so many major actors in one movie, it's either going to be an absolute phenomenal hit or it's going to be dog shit. There is no in between. Aliens was the latter. This movie, I can quote scene by scene, frame by frame, moment by moment, back and forth, and I'm not the only one. The numbers that Aliens put up in the box office, on DVD, on VHS, in the home video market across the world was amazing. It proved that they had a hit on their hands. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, from the pulse rifles, from the one-liners, from the realistic reactions, this movie is absolutely one of my favorites of all time. If I had a top 10 or a top 20 or a top 5, this is easily in the top 5 of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life, and I could watch it anytime. I could watch it every time. God rest Bill Paxton's soul. He was the comic relief in this movie that we did not know we needed, but we're so glad we had. He was basically a coward that found his strength in his team, of all places. So in this movie, we're treated to Ripley waking up having a dream that she has an alien in her, and she's still having nightmares from this thing. So Paul Reiser's character comes and talks to her because they basically decommissioned her story. They didn't believe anything about her. They case closed. They thought she was bullshitting. Come to find out, this LV community that they landed on, they now have an outpost, and there's been families and families out there for years. And even though Ripley's report is on file and she told them about them, nobody believed it. But now they lost contact with this colony, and they need a team of people to go in to figure out what happened, because they have expensive hardware out there, these microprocessing, gigantic air atmosphere plant things that they have. So they con Ripley into going out there because she realizes you're only going out there to destroy them, not to study them, which we all knew was a lie. Somewhere inside her, she knew it was a lie as well. So, but except for this time, she's not going in with regular people. She's going in with the Space Marines. And to quote the late, great Bill Paxton, "We are the ultimate badasses. We got guns, knives, sharp sticks." Bill Paxton added so much to this movie. His lines, his action, oh my god, the way he plays off of everybody in this movie, no matter who he's in a scene with, he steals it. Now you have to remember, he wasn't a major actor at this time. He was that side guy. He was that B guy. This movie projected him because whether you remember him as Chet from Weird Science, or that weird car guy that sold Arnold the car on True Lies, or whether you watched him in Predator, which he, believe it or not, he branches that in Predator. He's a cop as well. But this movie, Aliens, I really get lost in Bill Paxton's acting in here, because he has the greatest lines in this movie,
and I think he improv, if not most of, not all of that script. They said he was doing such a great job. Just let him do him.
Yeah, it really is a shame that he has passed. I wanted to see so much more from him. I love his catalog of acting, but when they get to the planet, they realize that the colonists have all vanished. They don't know where any of them are. Corporal Hicks and his team of Marines took over, including Vasquez, which she's Jewish. She's really Jewish, but she bodied Vasquez. I'll give her that. Apone, which is their leader. Apone, oh my god, dude. Another day in the Corps is like a day on the farm. Every paycheck a fortune. Every formation a parade. Every meal a banquet. I love the Corps.
And I love the fact that Vasquez can be one of the guys and one of the girls.
Exactly. She was the exact opposite of what Ripley's character was. They needed a badass female, and then they needed a more enlightened character that wasn't as strong, but had a strength deep inside of her. And of course, Ripley being the only person that's dealt with these before, she really knew what she was into. There was a scene when they were briefing the Marines. Apone was briefing the Marines about what they were going to face, and she was trying to explain to them what a xenomorph was. And of course, Bill Paxton got them one-liners. Is this going to be a standard? Is this going to be a stand-up fight, or is it going to be another bug hunt? Well, we do know that a xenomorph is involved. Bug hunt. Michael Biehn said it. And then he just...
Then when they get there and see what they're dealing with, they realize this ain't no average bug hunt.
And it's one thing that Ripley says at this point that really stands out. Before they dismiss her, she says, "Just one of these things managed to kill my entire crew in a matter of hours. And if the colonists have found them, there's no telling how many of them are going to be infected." Now, at this point, Paxton says, "How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?" Because he realizes that it's bullshit, but his whole tone changes from the ultimate badass to fright, to actual real fright, even though he's a Marine, real fright when he sees what he's up against. That changes the story, because as they're searching in this place, they find Newt, who is the only girl who's alive. She's in shock. She's been alive here for months. I don't know how, but she's been alive here for months. And then they finally find the trackers implanted in the colonists, which lead them to a sub-level on the other side of town, which is where they go in there. And this is one of the best scenes in the world. So as Ripley and the commander are sitting in the car thing, along with Paul Reiser's character Burke, she happens to see where they are, because once again, she is smart. She's not just... She shows herself being capable twice in this. Before they took off, she asks, is there anything I do? And Apone says, I don't know, is there anything you can do? You know, smart. And she's like, well, I can drive one of those loaders. And they're just like, get the hell out of here. So she straps into this thing, gets in, and she's moving, where do you want me to put this? And they're laughing because they have no idea just what this woman is capable of. And this is what I mean when I say she can carry a movie without dumbing down the people around her. This is a chemical equation that these newer movies do not have. You can have a badass female character without dumbing down the male roles and making them all bitches. You don't have to do that. In this movie, these were the ultimate badasses, and she rose above that. That's the great arc of a character, rising above and triumphing over what they're going through. So she sees them and where they are, and she knows more than other people about the mechanics of these ships and these places. So she says, excuse me, Lieutenant, what do those pulse rifles fire? Standard armored piercing rounds. Well, look what they are. They're right in their primary heat exchangers. If they fire, and he's like, so what? So this place is a whole nuclear reactor. He fractured the coolant tanks, and adios muchachos, we have a nuclear meltdown. So the smartest thing of the Marine Patrol, who's safe inside the car, says, hey, Apone, I want you to collect magazines. We can't have any firing down there. Now, another great line is brought in by another one of the Marines, lesser known Marines in here. And he says, can you say again? And they said, we can't have any fire in there. I want you to collect magazines from everybody in there. What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language? I love that line. Bro, you don't understand. The one-liners in this movie, they had to be ad-libbed. They had to be. They could not be written, because they hit so hard and so good. Really, what else can you say at a time like that? So, of course, some of them, Michael Biehn's character, which is basically... He's basically Reese. He's Kyle Reese. He's Kyle Reese from Terminator. That's his exact character. There's some times in here where he looks exactly like Kyle Reese. He acts like Kyle Reese. He does Kyle Reese things. He is Kyle Reese, which I hate Michael Biehn for that, because he's not a one-dimensional actor by any means. But in this movie, he's Kyle Reese. I'll just say it. He's Kyle Reese. So they pull out their shotguns. I like this for close encounters. Vasquez and I forget his name, the same guy with the buzzsaw with the big gun like her. They pull out another ones that they had and they click it into place, because they're not going in here firing freaking harsh language at something that could possibly kill them. So this is where the story changes. It changes from comic relief and funniness to a straight horror and drama at this aspect, when they come across the first people and colonists and realize that they've been cocooned in this thing. And the first one they come across has a chest burster that burst out of there, and they light it on fire with the incinerators, the flamethrowers, and this wakes up the entire colony of aliens. And there are hundreds and thousands of them. And this is where the shit hits the fan. Right here. This is where the shit hits the fan. And Vasquez says, let's rock! Because one of the greatest moments in movie history, the greatest, and I love the way they set up the drama and the anxiety before something happens. They had these things called motion trackers. Cinematic gold. It's a simple box that tells you something coming forward, something coming behind you, how many meters, how much is closing in. This thing added so much anxiety and drama to this movie. It's 100%. So before the firefight starts, You have my boy Bill Paxton. They have Hicks and Hudson. Michael Biehn and Bill Paxton. Hicks and Hudson. So he says, I'm getting a signal. It's weird. I can't lock in. There's movement all over the place. And the person who's at the front of the pack was like, well, I don't have anything. Maybe you're not reading it right. He's like, no, I'm reading it right. He says, maybe you're reading me. No, it's not. So she walks back to him and says, Hudson may be right. So you hear these little whispers and these little the alien sounds. I don't know what they thought when they created the sounds and the look of these aliens, but bravo. That's the shit of nightmares. It's the shit of nightmares. These aren't the cute little cuddly E.T. aliens that you saw in Amblin Entertainment's E.T., nor are these the aliens from Predator. These things are the shit from nightmares. They look like they're bones with 3 mouths, long skulls. They have acid for blood. They can shoot acid. They have a tail that can stick through you and yank through you and rip you apart. Even if you shoot them, their blood sprays on you, you still die. Like, these things are badass. Like 100%.
They are fierce with some sharp ass teeth.
Yes, these things are amazing. So as they encounter their first set of aliens down in the sub-basement, they all start to get wasted. They lose Apone. They lose pretty much everybody with the exception of 5 guys. And this is when Ripley's, like I said, she has such strength and power to her character. She tries to tell Gorman, hey, we got to go in there and save them. These guys are dying. And he was like, I told him to fall back. And he's done simulated drops. He's never been in the shit before. So she takes control, drives, crashes into the place, goes down to where they are so that she can pick up the guys because they're going to die. And they're so happy to get to her. They move. They get in there. We lose one more guy when he shoots the alien and acid sprays on him, and it also hits Bill Paxton in the shoulder. She backs out of there. She's running. She crashes into things, runs over a few more aliens. They have the banging ding 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 ding. It was perfect score, perfect music, perfect drama. She crashes through the thing. She lands. She breaks the axle. They're out here in the middle of this alien desert, and they're calling for their ship to come pick them up because now we need to bounce. We need to get out of here.
It's a race against time, and they're barreling out like a bat out of hell trying to survive this night.
True. And this is where we get in the worst possible scenario situation. Now, the people who are flying the airship, I don't know what the hell they were doing. There was no need for you to open up the back, land, and go get some coffee or take a whiz. I don't know what you was doing, but that was the dumbest shit in the world, and that's what got y'all killed. So she calls Spunkmeyer, and he doesn't listen to her because he's running up in the ship and he feels some liquid on it. Of course it's an alien, because they're everywhere. So she's sitting there like, we gotta leave, we gotta dust off, and then she hears the door behind her open, and she was like, Spunkmeyer, where the hell have you? And he turns around and it's the alien. It's the first time you see the double teeth. Just knives into her, and you see blood, and then the ship, who's supposed to be their only salvation of flying out, comes up to them, crashes, spins over, and blows up. And Bill Paxton, without missing a beat, well, what the hell are we gonna do now, man? This is some funny shit now, man. And then the little girl says, we better get out of here because they mostly come at dark. Mostly. So they decide.
One of those times you were praying for day.
Yes. So they make their way back to the main area and they lock themselves in operations. And this is when they find out that how long can they be overdue before they can expect an emergency rescue. And he says 17 days. And Bill Paxton says, I don't mean to rain on your parade, but we're not going to last 17 hours in here with those things. They're going to come in here and they're going to come in for it. She was like, Hicks, calm down. Well, she was talking to Hudson. Calm down. This little girl survived that long, longer than that, with no weapons and no training. He's like, why don't you put her in charge? Like, he's losing his shit because anybody would. I mean, look, they've lost their friends. They've lost their major. They lost their sergeant. They lost all these people in an amount of seconds with these crazy, horrific creatures that tore them apart in a matter of minutes. They're not trained for this kind of combat. So they end up sealing off operations and try to Bishop, who is the second android, which is played by Lance Henriksen, who looks like he walked off just of the set of Pumpkinhead, because he's wearing almost the same thing, but he's also one of the big roles, because we find out later on he's a droid after Weyland Yutani, the guy who owns the company. I guess he was shaped after him, whatever. Anyway, Bishop goes out and crawls to get the dropship, and I want to give Lance Henriksen credit. That scene where he's crawling through the pipe, where just his shoulders is just enough for him to move his shoulders and crawl off his shoulders, I'd have peed on myself. I'd have had a heart attack and die. He obviously ain't claustrophobic. I am. I felt that for her. When I was watching him doing it, I was like holding my neck, pulling my collar. Like, that was some crazy shit.
I was actually sweating on that one.
Yeah, I give him credit. As an actor, bro, I couldn't have done that. So now they're left with the fact that at nightfall these things are coming, and they set up as much defenses as they possibly can, but it comes to a point where they realize that they're pretty fucked. And on top of that, Burke was paid to bring a few aliens back through quarantine, mainly Ripley and Newt. So he tried to get them pregnant by the facehuggers. So when they went to sleep in a room to rest, he walked in there, opened up 2 facehuggers that they found, and locked them in there, and then turned off the camera. So he basically sealed Ripley and Newt to their fate. But of course, Ripley being a smart female character, smart for male or female character, damn that, she was just on point. She lit the fire alarm. They came running in there. They saved her just in the middle of time. She tell him it's Burke. Burke's looking at him like he's crazy. You know, like they kind of see where the wind is blowing. But it's at this point that the power is cut, so the argument has to stop. And he was like, they got in here. It was like, they couldn't have got in here. There's nothing we missed. He was like, no, they got in here. They cut the power. How could those things cut the power? Because they're not just mindless creatures. They're smart. They think. They strategize, and they will find a way in. So once again, we're treated to the motion detectors, and these things are friggin' movie cinematic gold. They add so much drama and so much anxiety. So there's a part where Hudson, is reading it, and he's over there, and he's just like, signals clean, range 20 meters. It was like, that's inside the barricade. How did they get in? It was like, we must have missed something in the floor, in the blueprint, something we didn't see, I don't know. Then he was like, it's 18 meters, 16 meters, 10, and it was like, it's right outside the door, back up. So they back up outside the door, and he's just like, 8 meters, signals clean, 7 meters, 6, what the hell? And there's like, that can't be, that's inside the room. This is what I mean when I say great writing. It was like, that can't be, it's inside the room. Maybe you're not reading it right. I am reading it right. And the girl's over there is like, yeah, Hudson may be right. And they're just like, I don't understand, like, where are they? That's inside this room. So Michael Bain decides to look up, and they realize it could be the ceiling. And then all the sound is dropped out of the film, and all you hear is the beep, 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 as he lifts up the vent and looks, and you see dozens of aliens just crawling through the ceiling. He falls back, not like a normal person in a horror movie where they fall, trip and fall, and then they get all scraped up. As he's falling back, he's shooting in the air from the ceiling. He's shooting at the ceiling as he's falling back. That's what I'm talking about when I say realistic reaction. So now it's put up or nut up time, and Burke's cowardly ass bounces and leaves them and locks them in because he's thinking about his own ass. But if he was smart, you need the people with the guns to protect you, since you have no guns. So the fact that you locked them in, you sealed your own fate. You gonna die alone. That's your dumb ass fault. You deserve it. You get it. I was happy about his death. We're gonna get to that in a second. So it's at this time that they just start rocking in the room. They're hitting short control bursts. They don't have that much ammunition. They're trying to conserve. So now they're trying to get out the door that Burke sealed. And Vasquez and Hudson are holding off the room. And they're trying to get this done while Hicks is blowtorching through the door. And it's at this point, one of the worst points of this movie, where Hudson loses his cowardness and becomes just all nut up or shut up, and he's taking them on. You want some of this? You want some more? Oh, you want some more of this? He was hitting them left and right and up and down, and he gets taken from the floor below. And even as he's being pulled down, he's shooting, eat this, and then you just hear him scream as he's pulled underground, and we lose Bill Paxton. And that's just heartbreaking. He was one of the characters I would have loved to see get to the end of this movie, but I respect his death in the movie, and God rest his soul. He is one of the main actors that was not slated as a main character in this movie that brings it to life so much. I cannot tell you, without his character, this movie would not be the movie that it was. That's how much he adds to this. So he may be a supporting character in this movie, but he is a main. He's elevated to a main character status in here. Matter of fact, all of them really are main character statuses in here. Even though they're sub-characters, they're main character statuses. They're all up there with Ripley. So, as they get through the door, Burt closes the other door because he's a dumbass. And while he's trying to open the last door, there's an alien waiting for him, and it's sitting there dripping with liquid, and it gives him the mouth. And yes, he deserves it, and we love it. And I clapped. Burt needed to die a must justly death. But it was too quick for me. He needed to be ripped apart, have an alien bust out his stomach, and face hugger. He needed the whole nine, but it's alright. He got
okay.
that.
We all know he was peeing himself when one was sitting right in front of him.
Yeah. So as the climax of the movie enters, they're trying to get out to the runway so they can get to this drop ship. They lose Newt. Michael Biehn is tore up. Vasquez and Gorman are trapped in a pipe, and they're forced to take themselves out to give the others a chance because they run out of ammo and there's no place they can go and they're trapped. So they use their grenades to give everybody else a shot. So now we're down to just 4 characters. We have Ripley, we have Newt, we have a hurt Hicks, and we have Bishop, who's running the patch relay to bring this drop ship down. So they make it to Bishop, and they're like, we can't leave because we lost Newt. So she has to go back in there and get Newt. And Hicks keeps telling her, like, she's saying she's not dead. They don't kill you at first. There's a chance she's still alive, and he's listening to her. But unfortunately, he takes an alien blast, and he gets acid all over him. So he's basically wasted. So she puts him on the ship, and this is the point where she becomes the Terminator, full Terminator. This is what I mean when I say you can be a badass female lead and you don't have to dumb down the male characters. Ripley is not big. She's not muscular. She's not a martial artist. She's not a street fighter. She's just this average woman who gets elevated into this platform. So since Hicks showed her how to use the guns, she strapped it up. She's got the grenade launchers. She's got the proximity meter, the motion detectors. She's got it. She's got it all. So she tells Bishop, don't leave until I get back. Give me the time. Because the self-destruct has already been activated and the platform is going to go up. Because unfortunately the coolant towers were ruptured. So she ends up going back for Newt because she gave her a bracelet that's a GPS. And as she finds her way back to Newt, she finds the bracelet but no Newt, and she starts to fear the worst, that Newt is gone. And it's at this point where Newt wakes up and she sees a facehugger coming for her, and she's cocooned against the wall. So Ripley hears her scream, and she goes down there, and she's shooting aliens, and she finds Newt, and she pulls the gook and the muck and the mire off her, and she picks her up, and they're so happy to be reunited. And it's at this point Ripley realizes she's in deep shit, because as she looks around the room, there's no more aliens, but there's hundreds and hundreds of eggs. And now we get treated to something we've never seen in the Alien movie franchise, a queen. And she is huge. As the camera pans up, you see her legs, you see this big crown of, I don't know what you call it, goes all the way up, and she's the egg layer. She is the granddaddy. So now you have mother against mother over their children. She went and got Newt, and now this egg layer is here. So as she's sitting there looking at the queen calls in her generals. She calls in her generals, who walk in slowly. So Ripley looks at her and puts the fire. She sprays the blowtorch, the incinerator, the flamethrower, and then she points it at the eggs. And the alien understands what she means. Back off, or I'm gonna kill all your kids. So she hisses at the two generals, and they back up. And as at this you realize that they actually have an intelligence. They're not just mindless creatures. They follow orders. They have drones. They have kings. They have queens. Like, you realize there's a hierarchy here inside this alien nest. They're not just mindless. So as Ripley is slowly backing away, she looks and one of the eggs opens up, and you see like the facehugger coming out, and she just gives this, come on. She gives this look like this, come on, are you fucking serious? And she blowtorches it, and she blowtorches everything else around her. She flamethrowers everything around, and then she starts shooting. And of course the queen is screaming and crying, but she's attached to this egg sac. So as she's shooting, and you see the numbers counting 90, 80, 70, 60 with this pulse rifle, Ripley is going all the hell out. She's got the balls to the wall, back to the wall, and she's there's so much action, and I'm telling you, this is one of the greatest action sci-fi horror movies of all time. And this is why I love it better than Aliens. Alien, the first movie, is great. I can't take nothing away from it. It's awesome. It won awards. But Aliens 2 just elevates it to another level. So it's at this point that the queen was just like, alright, dash your ass. She detached herself from the egg sac, and she was just like, now I'm gonna fuck both of y'all up. Like, both of y'all gonna die. So as Ripley is running, trying to get back to the ship, and there's fire bursting here, things exploding there, and she's taking out aliens, and she's got the grenade launcher, and she's hitting this and hitting that and hitting egg sacs. She finally makes it up to the elevator, and unfortunately Bishop is not there. His ass ounced. And it's such a letdown, because you're just like, oh my god. And at the last second, you see the elevator start coming up, and yes, the queen. It's the queen. The queen took an elevator to come up to kill Ripley. Like, she was like, I meant your ass. That's your ass. You gonna die. So as the elevator is rising up, she was just like, close your eyes, baby. We gonna die. Like, damn you, Bishop. And Bishop comes around a corner, and she's happy to see him, and she loads the little girl in. And she's like, where are you? It was like, that platform got too hot. I couldn't stay there. But it was like a big fake out. I'm so glad, because we couldn't have two androids that were bad back to back. Let one of them be good. Lance Henriksen had to be good. So as they're trying to get hung up and get off of the platform because it's about to explode, they finally take off and they fly up in space, and the planet explodes and it's nuked from orbit, and there's a soft sigh of relief and everything is good. And they make it back to Sulaco, and they get on the ship, and everything is cool. Bishop is fine. Hicks is still knocked out. He's all fried up and sizzled. And it's at this point where Ripley is talking to Bishop that Bishop starts to shake, and a gigantic spear busts through his chest and lifts him up in the air. Ladies and gentlemen, the queen stowed away on the landing gear. This bitch is not giving up. So as Bishop is ripped up into the air, she rips him apart, and half of Bishop goes here and half of Bishop goes there, and there's white juice and body parts everywhere. Just bravo. So Ripley sends Newt to hide in a floorboard somewhere while she goes off to get something. And the queen at this point, you killed my babies, I'm killing your babies. So she goes after Newt, and she's lifting up vents, and she's trying to kill this little girl. Like, this little girl is hamburger meat. And it's this time Ripley got into the same machine she got into earlier. You may have seen these machines like in the Matrix, the last Matrix movie, except for they're done right in this movie. So she comes out there and, get away from her, you bitch! And now the alien is her, and there's this big fight, and it's toe to toe. Like, she hits Ripley, she tries to stick her with the tail. Ripley grabs her, squeezes the head, hits her with the blowtorch, smacks her in the face, lifts her up, throws her into all kind of luggage and shit that's there. So she grabs her, grips her up, and the tail is still going in here. So Ripley lifts her up and then drops her down. But as she drops her down, the alien's like, you're coming with me, bitch, and grabbed her and pulled her down. So this heavy machine falls on top of this gigantic alien, and Ripley is trying to climb up, just all arm strength. I give her credit. I would have nothing left in the tank, but this is what I mean when I said she is one of the strongest heroines in movie cinema history, because, bro, the word give up is not in her at all. So she's climbing up, the alien reaches up the queen and grabs her ankle. Shalak, you're not going nowhere. This ain't over. So she gets to the airlock and hits the airlock, and she's holding on elbow inside the metal spoke. And I'm telling you, that alien is so heavy, it should have ripped her arm off out of the socket. But I'm not going to argue physics.
It just shows how much of a badass Ripley really is.
I'm not going to argue physics on that one. So she finally gets blown out. Ripley's shoe comes off and she flies down, and you hear her screaming in space. In space, no one can hear you scream, I guess, unless you're a Queen Alien. So Ripley finally climbs up. She closes the airlock. Bishop is still alive, although it's half of himself. And she's like, we need to put them in stasis because now they have to wait to be picked up or their long trip back to Earth. So they're all put into stasis, and the movie ends. Now, I talked about this one in detail because Aliens is my favorite. I'm not going to go into Alien 3 or Alien Resurrection too much. I'm just going to give you a quick synonymous. So Alien 3 picks up where Aliens left off. Unfortunately, there was an alien on board inside the ship. Newt is killed. Michael Baine's character, Hicks, is killed. The only survivor is Ripley, and Ripley is pregnant with an alien in her stomach. Somehow a facehugger got on board, and it got Ripley pregnant. The penal colony one is another one of my favorites. I wish I could go further into detail. I'm not going to make this a very, very long video. I just will say the prisoners, Mr. Durant's being part of this, the scenes, everything to me inside of it was amazing. And I love the it had Rock from the TV series Rock Emerson. It had all the components that Aliens did. It just didn't have the polish. And I like the fact that since the alien face hugged a dog, it took over dog characteristics. This is the first time you actually see that the alien, no matter what species it takes over, it develops characteristics from them. Later on, you see a half alien, half predator. Like, it takes on different characteristics on whatever species it impregnates. So this whole entire movie, like I said, I like it more than most people. It relied heavily on CG, which always didn't land a lot. I think they should have spent more time on practical. I don't know I'm glad Ellen Ripley, Sigourney Weaver returned for it, but it's on the weaker side of story, but it's definitely better than Alien Resurrection to me. Alien Resurrection to me just seemed like it was a poor attempt sci-fi movie to keep the aliens in there. I'm glad they got Sigourney Weaver back in there, and then they had what is her name? Lydia Dietz. What is her name?
Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder was the android in that movie. It also had Brad. Did it have Brad Dourif? I think it did. Did it have Brad Dourif in it? Yes, it had Brad Dourif in it. Chucky, the voice of Chucky, was actually in it. He was one of the doctors in it. It had a lot of stars, but the story was really, really weak. Them cloning Ripley after what happened in Alien 3, they wanted to get a queen, so they cloned her until they could get the queen and create a queen of their own so they could see exactly what... They kind of just wanted to use it. So the whole story of Alien Resurrection was basically what happened in Aliens 1 and 2 and 3. The company, Weyland-Yutani, trying to get hold of one of these aliens to use it as a weapon, bioweapons, and things like that. It just, to me, it was the weaker of the entire franchise. Like I said, that's my number 4. There's so many scenes in Alien 3 that are iconic that I absolutely love. It wasn't as polished as Aliens, but it's a damn good entry. In my opinion, one of the last good entries into the Aliens movies. I didn't like the Alien vs. Predator movies that much at all. But like I said, so where does this entire series rank in the Game Dojo scale for 24K movies? I would love to give the entire series a double platinum, but I can't, because if I were to rank these films, I would say Alien Resurrection would be a silver. It would be a silver. Aliens 3 would be gold. Aliens double platinum. Alien platinum. So with 2 platinums, a double platinum, and a gold, Alien Resurrection brings it down to just the platinum series. I can't give it a double platinum series because Alien Resurrection is the weaker of the 4 films. Absolutely awesome. Just weaker of the 4 films. So we're going to give the whole series a platinum rating. Sigourney Weaver at her best. I love her whole catalog of movies, but these Alien movies, she did something that females only dreamed of doing in these strong, high, action-packed sci-fi horror movies. She changed the genre of female heroes forever with her roles in these Alien movies, and I applaud her. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a female heroine done correctly. It can be done. You don't have to dumb down everybody else in the cast and make them bitches. Though I have to say Bill Paxton's character was AKA a bitch. But he was a lovable one. And he had his moments.
He got brave when it came down to it.
That's right. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks to my brother Phil bringing over the Alien Anthology collection. I now own it on Blu-ray. Thank you, Phil. Shout out to you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, when you're having your movie marathons this October, this Halloween, when you're having your party and your popcorn and your pizza and everything is going great, do me a favor. Get out some Alien movies. You need them in space. No one can hear you scream. There are very few movies that make you fearful, and you wouldn't think Aliens would be a horror film, but if you've ever watched an Alien film, it's a horror film. Full out. Slasher, blood, scare, fear, ultimate fright, jump scares, definitely. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from the Game Dojo, thank you for joining me for this another October lovely film series review. We could have just done one, but since he got me the anthology, we had to do the anthology. Now, I know you can tell from how I talk that I love Aliens the best. I'm very excited when it comes to my favorite films. Aliens, like I said, is one of my favorite films of all times, hands down. I could watch it any day. No matter what I'm doing, no matter what I'm watching, if you pull out Aliens, not the first one, Aliens, I'm going to watch it. I may even quote lines from it. Forgive me. I love the movie. So from the Game Dojo, thank you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, I hope you enjoy my take of these movies. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Until next time, have your parties, check your candy. And remember, there just might be an alien under your bed or a face hugger. Beware. I'll check you guys out later.